let's
We're
start the
good. We're in.
meeting
I wouldn't miss it.
Slow key.
upon the recommendation
That's
of
what you think.
Ms. Stephanie Fleming, our parliamentarian.
Wow.
We are going to start the meeting, but
Oh, okay.
rest assured, we're
Yeah,
not
we
going
won't
to
make
take any
decisions.
action.
You can
No
start.
recommendation will be made to the,
Yeah, you just start.
no recommendation
You
will
can
be
do
made
any-
to
you're
the council
You can do
president.
anything you want.
That's, I think, what I just,
Well, that's the other president.
So as I said before, we will not, no official recommendation will be made. If we have to make a recommendation, we'll get back later on, all right?
Okay.
So unless we have a quorum at the point we're going to make recommendation, right? So item number 1, public comment on non-agenda items. Public? No? Okay, good. All right. Review and approval of meeting notes, so we will pass on that, right? But here comes Tito. Tito, you're a member,
Yay.
so
Is that it?
We're good.
we're good now, we have a quorum.
yeah.
Tito, did you get to read the minute?
I don't receive any of this stuff.
You did not receive any of this? How come?
I don't know.
Here you go.
There you go, all right.
And I'll forward it.
If you would please review, but you've been on this for a long time.
Yes,
All right.
that's why I don't know.
Is there any reason why we left him out? Maybe,
I have no idea, but I'll-
I'm
it's a
gonna-
message, we're sending you a message.
I'll check the
Indirect.
email and email Marina right now.
She's not in today, so I'll take care of it.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much,
Motion
Ms.
to
Corros. Okay, motion to approve. Second?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, so we move on now to review of meeting norms. Let's take a look at our meeting norms. And I need to say, I have to thank Crystal for the work she has been doing, putting all that together. Crystal, you've done a beautiful job putting all that together.
Okay.
And we have now the governance meeting norms, and my understanding is that we want to a certain extent, we want to ensure that we all have norms when we conduct meetings, so that we can say that we are behaving in more or less, I'm not say standard manner, but that we're consistent across the college in how we run meetings. Is that the, okay. You want to tell us a few more things about that, Crystal, or?
Well, I believe it was the Shared Governance Task Force for Accreditation that put together these norms and took them through the process. And the idea is that at the first meeting of every semester, we cover them so that everybody understands how we conduct ourselves. These are the norms for shared governance meetings.
Has everybody had an opportunity to read the
Yes.
norms?
Yes, yes.
And you would like to comment about them, anything that you want to share with us about? Are we all clear on the norms, right? Mhm. Maybe if I may ask a question of the group here, I mean, do most of the committees follow those norms? How effective,
We're not the two to answer that question.
how
I think-
effective?
I think we're working towards it, and I have seen significant improvement in the last 3 years.
Yes.
You have seen improvement?
Yes, absolutely.
Because I mean, of course, I mean, we can't expect everything to happen just like that. Some changes take time.
Yeah.
And,
I think the majority do.
uh,
You're always gonna have people that don't,
right.
and you can't worry about those people. Just let them go. That's what I tell people.
All
People that
right,
complain
so,
about kids, I tell them, people with kids understand, people with kids don't, forget it.
that's so true.
Yeah.
All right, okay, so anything else we want to say about that? So we clear on that? Do we have to read them one by one, or?
That's up to you. If
It-
there's
it-
anything
no.
particularly
This is just for
like-
review at the beginning of the semester, right?
Right,
So
okay.
review's done.
All right,
Yeah.
let's move on now to the next one. Information item, superintendent president's update. Well, I just want to remind everybody that there will be a spring budget retreat on March the 3rd. That's Friday of next week. And I think it is important that we have everybody present, that people attend that, and that we broadcast that. Because as you know, we've shared a lot of information about the budget. And, each time you come to the forum, the BRAC meetings, and every opportunity we get, we've shared what the budget looks like. We've shared information about what the projections are going to be. We've shared also information about some of the mandates, state mandates that are pretty heavy on our budget. I mean, you will learn that by 2020 or so, almost 25%, we will have to contribute close to 25% of the employees' earnings to CalSTRS or CalPERS. Let's think about that. I mean, we all know that this will be a problem not only for PCC, it is a problem statewide for all the K-12 system, for the CSUs, the UCs, the community colleges. It is a big thing. And we also know that it is the state's responsibility to fix that. It's not for us to fix it, because we are a state institution. 99.9% of our funding come from the states, or 100%?
In the high 90s.
High 90s of our fundings come from the state, right? So there's no way we can fix that by ourselves, because to fix that by ourselves would mean not following state mandate, well, in which case the state will close us. And next to fixing it, will just fire half of our faculty and staff and administration, right? Like that, we won't have to contribute to STRS or PERS, and we know that isn't going to happen, right? We can say we're not going to take students, and we know what that will do to us if we don't take students. We'll go down, right?
Exactly.
Then our income will be significantly less, and we won't be able to do anything, right?
A downward spiral.
That's it, you know, so. But it is important that people realize that it is, that we have to figure out, we become probably very creative, but the state has to act in the next 2 to 3 years to fix that problem, right? But the most important news of all is that you've heard, all of you, that this is the first time we're getting together, is that we are no longer on probation. Our accreditation is reaffirmed, right? And you should have our website, I think they put regain full accreditation. I asked them to change that this morning. We never lost accreditation. It's not that we're regaining something that we had lost. We never lost accreditation, we were always fully accredited. It's reaffirmed. Our accreditation is fully reaffirmed. I asked them to change that, and I hope they made the change, because I mean the connotation with regaining is that, oh my God, those people lost it and now they're getting it back. No, it's not that. Right, so we were always accredited. Spring is going very well, 93%, right, of our sections are full. That's about 25,000 something of headcount. You have the numbers with you there, right? 25,000 or so?
26.
Well, I shouldn't be giving that.
Yeah, I know,
Yeah.
you're now giving mine, but that's
I'll take that back. You get a chance to share
It's a
that.
little over 26,000.
Right, so the school is doing very well. You know, our dual enrollment programs are functioning. And one big piece of news I want to share with you is that on March 19th, we have a legislative breakfast in the morning. That is, we're going to be inviting all the mayors and elected officials in our district to come to a breakfast. I don't know what time the breakfast is.
Is that a Sunday morning?
Oh, that's true, March 19th. It says March 16th.
Okay.
I don't know what it is, but it's not the 19th. Yeah, that's true, the 19th is a Sunday. The 29th.
Okay.
The 29th. 26,
that all the
27, 29. It's the 29th, sorry. It's March the 29th. You have mixed those two dates. And on that same day, we will make a big announcement. You probably are reading the CCLC news, the chancellor's daily communication, and there's almost a constant in all those news bulletins that we get. Almost every college is giving free tuition to students. You've seen that. Almost every college. Even this morning, there were 2 more colleges mentioned, Miracosta and North San Diego County. Right? That's Palomar and Miracosta giving free tuition. We are in one of the richest districts in the state of California. San Marino, La Cañada, South Pasadena, right? But we also have areas that are not as privileged, as wealthy as La Cañada and San Marino and South Pass. I worked with the foundation. I had told them that, but it was the very first time I got here. That's something we need to work towards. It's not cheap, but at the same time, it's not that expensive. For an institution that gives about $700,000 in scholarships to students leaving the college to pursue their bachelor's degrees, right? We can afford to spend about maybe $150,000 or so a year on students coming to the college. So, as you know, it's about 70% or so of our students do not come from the district. What we're going to be offering as free tuition, we will be making that announcement on the 29th, it will be towards, we will target students from our district. You will have to have graduated from a Pasadena area community college, district high school. That's the first thing. You must graduate from that. Your residence is it doesn't count really. You will have to have graduated from a high school. If you graduate in June, you will attend college that fall. If you say I'm going to take a year off because I want to explore the world, well, we appreciate that. We recognize the fact that you want to do that, but we will not give you a free tuition after that. Okay? If now you graduate in June and you join the military immediately, right? And you come back after you get discharged, and you come back immediately. Let's say you get discharged in April, right? Don't tell us that you're waiting around, walking around, figuring out what you're going to do. You get discharged in April, which is the spring semester, you come to us in the fall semester. You get discharged in October, which is the fall semester, you come to us in the spring semester. We will cover your tuition, right? But again, you must have been a graduate of one of our high schools, right?
Well, isn't that covered already through the military?
Not all of them.
Not all.
They have to meet certain
Not
requirements.
Not all, not all, right? So that's what we're going to do. And it's not going to be the first dollar. Some of the things that you will have to do before you get that. You have to fill your FAFSA. Okay? You have to apply for the Board of Governors fee waiver. We will help you with all that. Right? So you fill FAFSA or Board of Governors, and if you don't get anything from these two, right, we will cover your tuition. Okay?
So this would not apply to returning students that have taken
No.
any kind of a break at all?
No. Because I mean, you have to put parameters. Maybe in the future we can consider all that, right? But initially, that's how our program will start, right? And then after that, right, we will evaluate the program for 1 year and see how it is working. Then we can tweak it afterwards. Because we've had several meetings. I mean, at one point, you have to say this is how we're going to start our program. We've looked at what other districts are doing. Some of them are giving only 1 semester. LA did a big splash. You all heard about LA. They had the vice president's wife here. Down here, Dr. Jill Biden was here. And what are they giving? 1 semester, my understanding is, right? Am I correct?
That's what I heard.
1 semester, right, for their graduates. But we will do better than that. We will give you 1 full year, right? I mean, we can cover everything. At least it's a start. We're not saying that we're going to promising you the moon, right? But we're telling you that this is what we will do for you now. And we will study it, and then we will get back the following year as to whether we're going to include more people or maybe remove some of the barriers that you may call them barriers or whatever we can call them, right? So that we can include more people, right? but that's, at least we have a start. And as you know, the foundation is going to be embarking on a major gift campaign. And we have now identified the chair for this campaign. And that will be Dr. Jack Scott is going to be the chair for that campaign. And he is going to be assisted by an honorary chair in the former mayor of Pasadena, Bill Bogart, is going to be the honorary chair of that campaign. And we do hope that we will be able to raise a significant amount of money, right? So that we don't have to cut anything that we are offering students, and that the scholarship that we'll be offering, that free tuition that we'll be offering will be on top of everything that we are giving. Okay? And at one point, some people were saying, well, we need to give books. We need to give free passes. We need to give food. We need to, I mean, yes, we understand all that. But we need to be able to start at one point. And we can't meet all the demands that exist there. At least if we are helping you for that much, and we can study the impact it is having, we have data, official, actual data in front of us. If there are some changes that we can make, we will make them. Okay? Yes?
Do we have a projection of how many students would qualify, or how many?
We really, it's kind of hard. We think it's going to be around 500 students or so, right? Given the size of our organization and given the number of students who come from outside, right?
And there's no financial criteria.
No financial plan. We don't want to do that. Now, if you don't want to take that, if you don't want to accept the scholarship, then I'm sure there will be many people who will not do it, because you have to fill FAFSA. You have to file the FAFSA. And you have to apply for the Board of Governors fee waiver, right? And if you don't, then we will be the last doubt.
And just to verify that, so they have to apply, they may not qualify, but
Yes.
as long as they
Yeah,
apply,
but they have
meet
to
the
apply.
requirement.
They have to apply. That's a requirement. You have to apply for FAFSA, yes.
So are we going to continue to provide services to help students complete the FAFSA? 'Cause there's
Yeah,
always
all
a
that
number
will
of
be given. No, nothing's going to, everything that we're doing right now will continue. Nothing is going to change, right? The only thing is that this is what we are offering now, and you have to apply for, file your FAFSA and apply for the Board of Governors fee waiver. We're going to be meeting with all the school districts, right? We're going to let them know what we're doing. Rio Hondo is doing it, and has been doing it for some time. LA has been doing it. Glendale had a big pump and whatever you want to call it, not that long ago, right? Citrus is doing it, right?
How do we anticipate, or what do we think, how is this going to positively impact the college if we give free tuition?
How will it positively impact the college?
What do we gain?
Our goal is not to impact the college or anybody. Our goal is to ensure that students who come to Pasadena City College will have one thing less to worry about. Not all of them, but those students who are coming to the college. And our goal is to ensure that the residents of this area, the students of this area, can have access to the best education that money can buy, to have access to free education if possible, because the results, the rewards, right, will not be felt immediately. We will feel that down the road when we have a populace that is well educated, that is well prepared, that will be moving on to four-year colleges and universities. Quality of life goes up. The economic outlook looks better when you have a well-educated workforce. Right? And if you want a very direct answer as to how it's going to positively impact the college, there will be more students perhaps coming, or maybe not. It's not that we are after students. Let's get one thing quite clear. The college is not after more students coming here. because the state tells us how many students we need to serve. That's how the state compensates us, right? We're doing this as a service to the community.
I have a feeling our constituent groups will probably ask
Yes.
a couple of questions, and so I'm curious as to what evaluation or whatever we did to target the specific population, because obviously if there are specific parameters to the program,
Yes.
it's to make sure that we're serving
Yes.
that helped us identify. So what is the specific population? Because I'm just thinking if a student fills out the FAFSA and a student fills out the BOG waiver,
Yes.
the majority of the students that then have a last dollar are the ones that's really like the parent's contribution or their personal contribution.
Yeah.
So those aren't really the neediest students. So I'm wondering how we identified the target group so that we created the program and the parameters to serve that target group.
Let me give you an
That
answer to
makes
that
sense.
part, right? There are a huge number of students who come here
Mhm.
that qualify for the FAFSA, that qualify for federal aid, that qualify for Board of Governors fee waiver, but they don't do anything. Okay? They don't. Now we're going to be going out to the schools, right, and letting them know about that, right? That's the first thing. The second thing is, you talked about the group that perhaps is being targeted that may not need that. Our data indicate differently. Not all of those students, they are right at that line that separates, what's an imaginary line that separates, in quotes, those who can afford, those who can afford and those who can't afford. And that is a very, very tricky line. You qualify at 70,000, not 70,000, let's take, let's go, you qualify at 70,000, but you don't qualify at 70,001. It's the same line that separates those that get free medical from those that do not get free medical. It's not a big number, it's $1, right? So those students have difficulty coming to school because then you have those students who have been rejected, not exactly rejected by the parents, but the parents say to them, you're on your own now. And yet they've been on the parents' income tax since they were born, right? And the parents say, now you're on your own. And they don't qualify. They file FAFSA. They don't qualify because parents have been making those earnings. And you have to be off of that for, I believe, 3 years before you can qualify. So those are the students who are not coming, right? And once we go through it, right, we will have more hardcore actual data to allow us to better analyze. That's why I said that we would go through it, and then we're going to analyze the data and make the appropriate changes, the tweaks that would be required. Ginny and then Elaine.
For those schools who have already implemented this type of program, is there data provided that indicates information regarding the persistence, retention, and completion?
I don't
rates?
know. We have not checked those data.
Are we interested in that data?
We are, of course, we're interested. We want to look at that. The one thing that we will continue doing and that we will improve on is we're going to make sure that when those students come here, they have to take I forgot one thing, they have to take a minimum of 9 units. You don't just come here and take 3 units. No, you have to take a minimum of 9 units, right? We will cover from 9 to up the to the maximum of that we allow people to take.
19.3.
19.3.
Yes, that we will cover that, okay? From 9 to 19.3 we're going to cover, right? But if you take 6, you're too bad. You take 8, too bad, right? It's the same way I would say that, I mean, if you qualify for 8 at 70,000 and you don't qualify at 70,001, there must be a line, right? So you take 8 units, you better go get another class and go over the 9, right? So that's what we're going to be doing, but we don't have the other data to share with you. But we will be looking at those data. And what I was going to add here is we will be working with all those students to ensure that by the end of their first semester they have met with counseling and that they have a plan developed for them. Okay, that we will make sure of that. Okay, so that we know that that's the path they're going to go. They may change their major. People are free to change their major and so on, but they will have met with counseling, right? And to have that. Okay, Elaine.
Was there discussion or consideration of the 70% plus students that do not come from our district proper, and now their district colleges, community colleges, are offering this same incentive? Will that not give them reason for going back to their district schools in order to take
Well, their
advantage of
districts have been
that?
doing that already, and they never went back to their district. They came here.
But
Glendale is doing it. LA is doing it. Rio Hondo is doing it. Citrus is doing it.
correct, but we were not doing it, and now when those students see that Pasadena is doing it for our district students, as is correct and proper,
Yeah.
might that not give them some thought
Mm.
as to whether or not they indeed should benefit by going financially, by going
Well,
back
they
to
know.
their
They,
district?
I'm trying to understand your question.
I understand.
All right. Those students already know that their districts have been giving free tuition,
Correct,
right? And then they made the conscious decision
right,
of not going to their district, of coming here,
correct,
right?
but,
But let me continue that
Okay.
answer.
all right,
The fact that they're coming here is perhaps a testament to our teaching,
absolutely.
to our graduation rates, but there's no guarantee that they will continue coming here.
Mhm.
Right? There's absolutely no guarantee that the 70% of out-of-district students will continue coming here.
Correct,
There will be a day of reckoning. We don't have to like it or not like it. There will be a day of reckoning when students will say, why am I going to PCC when I can go to my home district, right? Don't think that we are not thinking of all that.
of
Well, we're
course.
thinking of all that because,
of course,
and this free tuition is not in any way going to, I may be wrong, but what we've been doing, so what we've heard so far is not something that will negatively impact our enrollment. In fact,
it may,
may make other students come and graduate from our high schools.
correct.
Right? So,
Not to labor this more, but I think one that exactly what I most likely do is increase the enrollment of our in-district students. But my question was actually going to be, you did mention FAFSA as a requirement for application and BOG as well.
yes.
For students that are AB 540 who apply for the California DREAM Act and they're still eligible for the BOG, will they be eligible for this as well?
Oh, well, I mean, if they're eligible for the BOG, they'll be eligible for this. I mean, we do not check whether you are a
Right.
DACA student or not. Okay? That's not. We will treat everybody in the same manner.
Right, I just want to make sure that they're going to.
Right, okay.
Thank
You graduate from a high school. There's only one requirement.
Right.
Graduate from one of our high schools and do not have a gap between your graduation date and attending college attendance.
Yeah, that's good.
I know I'm asking too many details, but for those students who would not qualify for in-state tuition,
Mm.
would we waive that for this program?
They will not have graduated from a high school from here.
No, they would have, but they could have moved here the last year of their high school, graduated from California high school, but would not be considered a California resident
Mm.
by state standards. So the tuition would be more.
Yeah.
Would we waive it, that?
We don't have an answer. I don't have an answer. We didn't consider that. So when that comes up, we'll
do that.
we'll address it at that point. Yes,
I don't know if this was already addressed, but where's like the funding for this coming
from the foundation. Mhm. Right. So the foundation will be coming after you, Sam, right?
Kylie, you
Kylie, yeah, that's true. Because you and Sam always together. Yeah, so Kylie. So
You know my face though, it's okay, we'll get there.
and I also know that you were with my daughter in high school.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And also next year I'll be sitting in that position, right?
That's true.
I'm
We agreed on that yesterday out there, right?
Yeah.
So
It's gonna be
you know,
publicity.
so yeah, no, that's what.
Okay.
Okay. And so what I was saying to you, Kylie, is that the foundation is going to come after you. To raise money.
I'm ready.
All right, good.
Good answer.
All right, well, I think I've talked enough about my update. I think I've given you an update for the ages. Now you only have 20 minutes left. Let's move. Okay, let's go to academic affairs update.
So as Dr. Verdian mentioned, our enrollments for spring are they're at 93.5% as of this morning, and have been creeping up a little bit each day. Obviously now the semester has started, so now we're just dependent on students that are trying to add classes during the first 2 weeks. And so hoping that will get a little bit higher. The piece of paper that I just passed out are my calculations on where we are with FTES, and so it's taking some of those numbers into account. The one that I gave you has the numbers as of February 21st, and I've actually updated it for this morning, but I haven't added that to here. And so part of what this is about is the number of students we're serving, but also the amount of FTS that those numbers generate. So it's actually the hours that we serve each of those students. And so the last three columns of this table indicate the additional FTES that we need to generate during this academic year to reach base. So that's needed for base. Our base is right around 23,800. Needed for B plus G, that's base plus growth. The state gives us a certain amount of growth that we can go after, 2.37%. And so that would be 24,060. And then Dr. Storti and I discussed what our target should be at the beginning, because we want to shoot a little high, because all our classes don't fill 100%, so you have to actually schedule a few extra classes to make sure that you actually achieve those numbers. And so that's what that last column is about. It's the goal that we set, that we were shooting for. And then these are the calculations based on the enrollments as of the 21st of where we are in that. And so if you just look at the very bottom of the handout, it gives you basically the number that we're short based on our FTS generated from late summer 16, fall 16, winter 17, and where we are with our estimates in regard to spring. Winter and spring numbers are still actually changing. Winter's still changing because some of the positive attendance numbers are coming in a little late, and so as those come in, that number goes up a little bit. Pretty soon that will be a solid number, and it will just be spring that is somewhat unknown. The number on here, so the 9,041 is based on the current enrollments. The calculation that comes from that. It doesn't include positive attendance numbers, so that's why I have an extra column on that, because positive attendance numbers are not, it's difficult to calculate because those are not actually submitted until the class ends, so to speak. And so the number that I'm giving, that 214, is based on the enrollments in those classes and assuming 60% retention of those students. In other words, the students in each of those classes will earn 60% of the hours. And if you want more detail of why I do that, I can give that to you, but I won't bore you with that right now. And then I also have an estimate if we reach 94%, and that calculation is shown below, and I am hopeful that we will. We're as I said, 93.5%, and so the number of students.
Let's round it up. Just say 94.
Because Rajan, I like to be exact. Well, so you should know on the report that you get tomorrow, it will say 94 because it rounds, and that 90, it's basically 93.46 as of today. So if that hits 5.5, it will say 94.
Okay.
But so basically, we need an additional 764 enrollments to reach 94%.
How are late start considered in these
No.
numbers?
Well, no, some late start are,
The estimate,
so,
right.
so the estimate that comes out, the report, is calculating based on the enrollment in those classes and what sort of, accounting method is used.
Right.
It's calculating based on those enrollments, and so the late start are either daily or positive attendance courses, and so the dailies are calculated in here, so those are included. So, a couple of things to add to that. The deans are still adding late start classes to our spring schedule to try to meet some of the unmet demands. We have close to 6,000 students on wait list at this point, and so there obviously are some demands that we're not meeting. Amy Olmore added a couple of English classes yesterday. We added a physiology class yesterday, and so we're trying to meet some of that. And then we are in the process of building summer, and that's where we'll meet the bulk of these 753 FTS that we need for base and growth will be from our early summer 17. And so that's basically what's happening now with the deans as they're building that summer.
Let me just make a comment on those numbers and also refer back to what we had said earlier on. We have 70% or so of our students from out of the district, right, Crystal? 65? 60. Okay, let's say 60, all right? Look at those numbers. We still need 493 full-time equivalent students to meet base. If suddenly
We had a promise for 500 students.
10% of those students, yeah, right. If suddenly 10% of those out-of-district students decide, you know what? Glendale, East LA, Rio Hondo, Citrus, Mount Sac, let's go back close to home. How many more students would we need to meet base, Dr. Junie? Full-time equivalent students will need meet base. If 10% of the out-of-district students don't show up, maybe another 500 or so?
Probably more than that.
More than that.
Yeah,
Just
our promise, so as Dr. Verdian was describing the promise, what I would say is that my hope is that it increases the college-going rate of our area students. And so that's one of the wins we hope. And as he kind of mentioned, the fact that to qualify you have to do the FAFSA, you have to apply for the BOG, and that some students don't do that. And so the hope is it will make our area students more aware of those opportunities to help remove the financial barrier. But in fact, as was I think part of the conversation, there are students that are graduating from our area high schools that won't qualify for any of that. But some of them, as he said, I mean, there are students whose parents make good money, but they don't benefit from that, and thus it will also remove that financial barrier for them. And so the hope is that it will make students more aware of opportunities and that it will increase the college going rate. Some of the wraparound things that we talked about in regard to what we have through pathways and through our learning centers and things of that nature, those have all been part of this conversation. They're not part of the initial promise, but part of, if you look at the models, so if you look at the Long Beach Promise, for example, it is a pathway to a four-year institution. And so we've started those conversations. That might become part of it later on. It's not initially because that's too complicated to put that all together and fly it and get it working. Plus, we need the foundation to generate sufficient funds to be able to support this effort. So those are all things that the hope would be keeps the reputation of Pasadena City College up so that the students who could go to LA or Rio Hondo or Glendale and receive their promise will continue to come here. But that is one of the Vice President of Instruction's worst nightmare, is that 60% number drops to 50% or 40%, because then we will have difficulty achieving our numbers.
Now, make no mistake about one thing. We should not rest on our laurels. Those are the colleges also, right now, because of all the incentives available, all the grants available, are working on creating, some of them have already created, programs that have made us so successful. like our Pathways program, right? They have now their own, they're creating it, building it. Their first, I mean, it doesn't matter, we can say, you know what I'm saying? But they're creating their own first experience program,
That's right.
you know?
That's right.
And that will be taking away some of our students. And that will leave that for some other time, at BRAC and other thing, when we look at what are the consequences of losing those out-of-district students. Mark?
First off, I would say we're not gonna lose them because we have the best faculty here, so. that's-
this, yes.
But also, I think that, I've been here 23 years now, and it's always been this way.
Right.
And maybe, I don't know if Crystal has those numbers, but has it fluctuated much at all?
What?
As far as out-of-district students? I know since day one I've been here, it's been, so I don't understand why there would be this issue where all of a sudden they're gonna go away.
Because of all the incentives that are available right now.
But it's still, who
in
wants
all
to go to
those
Citrus
districts.
when you can go to Pasadena? It doesn't matter what incentive.
They're not very happy about us, you know that.
Well, I'm sure they're not.
They make
But
it clear.
Yeah, but I have a question. It seems to me that this FTE thing, it's, I don't know why, but it just, maybe it's not this simple, but it seems to me that if we have 6,000 people on waiting lists, there's a problem, man. There's a problem with scheduling classes. I know every one of my classes is completely full and I could fill at least one or two more classes very easily. And I would think also that utilizing LGIs and especially our online program, every one of our online classes is completely full the minute it opens. And they don't add any more.
So a couple of things that you have to consider in regard to adding classes. You need a room.
Not for online classes, you don't.
And you need a teacher. And so,
We've got lots of those.
but in areas where the wait lists are very significant, those are the issues. And so, you know, some of the areas include obviously math, English, the sciences. The sciences, it's a facility because you can't do a lab, you can't do a chemistry lab online. And so those are the factors that are impacting us.
Right.
We are looking at ways of solving that, moving more of our classes online where we can. But getting faculty trained and comfortable in doing that, increasing the number of LGIs. So, you know, I gave you a couple of examples of classes we've added. We are also adding LGIs to that list where we can, but that's also then a room. Are they in a large enough room to be able to do that? And we are actually in the process of analyzing our room utilization, how we've done it in the past and how we need to maybe tweak it to better serve areas where there's a high demand that we're not meeting. And so those are things that we're looking at. But it is not possible right now to add the number of courses that we would need to meet those wait lists because of both facilities and faculty. Where the deans have been able to do it, it's because they have faculty that they're able to use. Some of that is basically allowing some part-timers to go over the 67% rule. But
full-timers to go over the 180-hour rule.
Well, those are all considerations that we're looking at in regard to how to serve the unmet needs of our students that we're not able to do. And so
how many classes in the summer are going to have to be the quick start to capture the early
summer
start?
Well, so that number has actually changed. The one that I handed out to you, it shows that I need 753 more FTS to reach base and growth. As of this morning, I need 700. And so just based on the change in enrollments from the 21st to today, that has improved by 50 FTS. A 3-unit lecture class generates around 3 FTS, so you can do the math
if
in
it is
that
full.
regard.
If the class
If
is
it
full.
Right, if it is full. Actually, I mentioned two of the issues of adding more classes that help serve students is facilities and instructor. But since the president of the union is asking the question, I'll also throw in class size. Is also a way to help serve more students. And so those are all part of the conversation.
right in there.
as the president
Well
has
done.
said in a number of conversations, is if everyone
A
added
number
to,
of
if
conversations.
everyone added 2 students to their classes, that would generate considerable more FTS, and would also help serve some of those students. Not every one of our classes can take 2 more students because of facilities, outside accrediting restrictions, things of that nature. But that's part of the conversation too, is we need to look at our NCN numbers and whether they're best for help serving this.
But if a 3-unit class generates 3 FTS, right?
There should be at least 35 students in that class.
So how would just 2 more students impact that number?
So if you look at that calculation, Mark, on there, so on the, where it says estimate of additional FTS, so you'll see in there FTS per enrollment. So on average, every new student that enters a class generates an additional 0.12 FTS.
Okay.
And so multiply that times 30, and so that's basically where that 3 FTS is coming for a course that has 30 students. The 35 actually is because the state numbers assume that our average enrollment in our classes, that's average
35.
across the institution, is 35 students per seat. Pasadena City Colleges is
26.
26. And so part of our ability to serve our students and be productive in the generation of our FTS is because our average class size is almost 10 below the state expectation.
The state has a formula that it uses. I mean, for 16-week semester, it's slightly different. It's
actually higher.
It's higher, as a matter of fact, right?
Yeah.
It's 35 students in a class, meeting 3 hours a week for 17.5 weeks, right? That is what is that's the
That's for the
That's
3.
the average.
That's the
basically.
average
That's the
though,
average,
that's the
yeah.
average.
Yeah,
So
no,
we
that's
have-
the average,
So
yeah.
like in speech communication, we were one of the divisions that actually increased our numbers by 2
Right.
willingly.
Mhm.
And our
Mhm.
normal closing number is higher than the state
Yes.
average.
What is
So,
Yes.
your normal closing
so
number?
ours is 32 at the moment
So it's
because we
still
went up.
below the
Still
35.
below.
But that's an average, if you compare
For
it
the
to the
whole-
discipline.
Yes.
If you
Oh,
do
for
discipline,
discipline,
yeah, so if we're gonna talk average,
Right.
that's
It's
different.
that's the average
We need
the
to look at
state uses.
discipline versus
Right.
discipline, it's not
Because
my
we're a
fault if
performance
somebody else
class,
has
we
it.
have to watch.
Right.
The
There's a
state has
certain
an
number.
index which it refers to as the productivity.
Yeah, so
Right.
maybe if we could get the list that shows the average by discipline instead of us talking about a statewide average,
So-
then maybe we could
But
target
I
that
would-
conversation.
But I
a
would
little
say
better.
that there's 2 parts of that conversation. There's the average class size for discipline, but there's also the productivity number that Rajan's talking about. Because where the average productivity number, which is FTS per FTEF, so the full-time
Right.
equivalent student generated per full-time
Full-time.
faculty, and the average is 17.5. And so for Pasadena City College to hit 17.5 as the average, if there are those below, which we have a few of those, then there have to be those above.
To make up for
To
it.
Right,
make
to
up
make
for it.
up for it. And so that's also a good comparison that we should be looking at, is we
Right.
should be looking at the productivity number for all of our
Right.
various programs, and then realize that some of them you can't increase it. I mean,
Right.
I can only have 10 students
Yeah.
in a dental
Yes, I mean, you
clinical
know,
experience. and
You
so-
you have
so
you
I
have to
can't
be sure
change
you
that.
meet all that.
Right.
But the idea is to afford those expensive programs, you
Right.
have to have other programs that have a higher enrollment in their classes to bring the average up to 17.5.
We are a comprehensive institution. We are not a basic skills institution. We are a comprehensive, which means that we open the spectrum. We will have to offer classes where we will be serving 8 or 9 students. But on the other extreme, we will need to have those lecture classes where we take 45 students. And if we can reach some kind of an agreement on that, I think we can make both ends meet and continue the way we're doing it. All right. I think we better get moving because
Yeah,
otherwise
sorry.
we'll be here till 1 o'clock. Is it okay if I business and administrative services update? You have
Yes.
any or you don't have it?
I do.
Okay. Oh my
Yeah,
God,
since-
you have an answer. All right, let's go.
Do you want me to make it short?
No, don't make it short, but.
Okay, I'll make it long then. Since the last time this group met, the governor released the proposed budget, and that was on January 10th. I'm not gonna go through all the provisions of the proposed budget, but one piece of great news came out. There's capital outlay funding for 5 projects, and the U building was the number 1 on that list. So included in the proposed budget is $63 million of funding for the U building. And we have a preliminary timeline established that has the completion of the U building in less than 5 years. So we're still waiting for the final budget to come out, but we're hopeful, and sources I've talked to in Sacramento are positive that they believe that it will be included in the final budget.
Is there a way to keep Science Village so that even when the sciences move out, we can use that space to?
That's something that we'll look at. The college has about $12 million invested in the Science Village. The problem is there's something called load to capacity ratios that we have to be in compliance with.
Okay.
And if we exceed our load ratios, then that would prevent us from getting additional funding for other statewide projects.
But also add to that, Richard, the fact that the state may ask you to close certain,
Right.
some of those rooms, because if you don't close them, they say, oh, you can keep them open, but don't come to us. You have to close them.
But if we do pass another bond, another local bond, then we could use that space as swing
Swing
space,
space.
because there's
That-
huge
that we
value
can-
in that space.
Can we tell our board that?
So we currently established a user group with participants from each of our groups on campus, faculty, classified staff, students, managers. And the user group will begin meeting in 2 weeks to talk about design specifications, requirements for the building. Also, the group will be vetting architects. So we have the wheels in motion. So as soon as the budget is passed into law, we'll be ready to hire an architect and begin the design phase of the project. We're also looking at different delivery methods for the project, because depending on the delivery method you choose, that will determine the architect possibilities that you can move forward with. I also wanted to talk about a 5-year projection for the college. So the financial projection for the current year, fiscal year 16-17, our budget that was approved by the board showed a total deficit of $4.8 million. So the good news is we've improved upon that projection. So now we're looking at a deficit of about $2.4 million. And that's a result of about $1 million extra in non-resident students who are attending and paying non-resident fees. So we have a plus on the revenue side. And we also have some savings on health benefit costs. So those 2 items are the major drivers fueling the improvement in the outlook.
Are those international or out of state?
It's both. So all non-resident students, so either international or out of
They're in the
state.
same basket.
Right. They're paying the
Pay
non-resident.
the same
I'm just
amount.
wondering,
Yeah.
are we seeing an increase in international or an
We
increase
did
in
We
out
are
of
past the
state?
1,000 mark.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Yeah.
And how is the health benefit being effective, and what's the contributing
we-
factor to pulling that down?
We negotiated a better
Okay,
contract.
a better contract.
So the benefits actually got better, and we had a lower cost
Okay.
with it. But when we look at a 5-year projection, going out 5 years, there's 3 items causing significant concern. Dr. Verdian mentioned some of those items. The PERS STRS increase, which don't only affect us at PCC, they're a statewide issue, so not just education, but you also have cities that are impacted by the increase in PERS STRS. So the PERS STRS contribution rate, for PERS, it goes up to 28% over the next 6 years. For STRS, it caps out currently at 19%, but that's anticipated to go up. So what that means in dollars is we're looking at about a $6 million increase in expenses just for those 2 items over the next 5 years. When we look at health benefits have been traditionally going up about 8% a year on a good year, and that's another $6 to $7 million of expenses. So currently, for 17-18, we're projecting a deficit of almost $4 million, and when we go out to the year 2021, that deficit grows to about $10 million. So that's a one-year deficit. So what that means is the revenues don't cover your ongoing expenses and you're short by $10 million. So we're currently looking at opportunities that we can bridge the gap. With the PERS STIRS, which is a huge part of that, we're gonna need to have state relief. I mean, we just can't, bear the cost. Otherwise, as Dr. Verdian mentioned, it would be a spiral downturn where, I mean, you really couldn't cut it. You'd have to reduce the classes, that would reduce your funding, and it's just not good for us, it's not good for our students. And we're not the only ones in that boat. So there's gonna have to be some relief at the state level. Other opportunities are non-resident students. If we can grow them, then, that's additional funding source for us. But there's risks with non-resident students, and if you rely on non-resident students too much. Santa Monica College experienced that.
After 9/11.
After 9/11.
Oh, yeah.
Right, they were paying a lot of full-time positions, and then after 9/11, their non-resident students decreased significantly, and that cut their free general fund dollars.
I almost couldn't make payroll at one point.
Right. We're also looking at, the class size is, as Terry mentioned, if you can increase the class size, there's a huge opportunity to save on the bottom line. So if you can increase the class size by 2, what that equates to is, 1, either increasing your FTES, or 2, decreasing the sections that you offer and maintaining your FTES. And if you're able to do that, you can save on the adjunct salary expense. And if you increase 2 average, that's about $5 million.
If the state pays it, if we increase by 2,
Right.
if our average class size goes up by 2, and we qualify to get the additional growth from the state, that's about close to $5 million.
About $5 million.
Right, but as Dr. Story mentioned, if on the other hand, we maintain where we are, but we reduce the number of sections, that could be a savings of about more than $1 million. Right? I mean, that could allow us to do many things, right?
Other things we're looking at is further negotiating our health benefits, just to reduce the cost, not necessarily reducing the benefit, maintaining the benefit, but reducing the cost. So we're currently looking at opportunities for that. And one thing that was discussed at the last BRAC meeting was our other post-employment benefits, OPEB. So currently the district provides health benefits for retirees. So if you're with the district for 14 years and you retire at 55 or later, you receive a health benefit. The liability for that health benefit, currently it's about $31.5 million, okay? We have set aside in a special fund $15 million to meet that obligation. But we hire an actuary to do an actuarial study of what the cost, how much we have to contribute to that fund is each year, and that requirement is currently $4 million per year. But if we established an irrevocable trust, we can put that $15 million in a higher earning account. Currently, because it's not in an irrevocable trust, we're limited by the interest rate that the county pays, and that's, over the last 3 years, it's ranged from 0.6 to 0.7%. So on the 15
You could
million.
put that in a mutual fund, you would have gotten 7%.
In a $15 million account, over the last 3 years, our interest earnings have been between $70,000 and $100,000.
You see it.
$15 million.
You see that? Yeah.
If we had an irrevocable trust and those funds were invested
It would be more
just
than $1 million.
just at 6%, right?
Right.
Conservative at
Well, we
6%, that's an extra $800,000.
Yeah.
That $800,000 would be
Mhm.
self-funding a portion of the
Right,
requirement. Plus, with an irrevocable trust, what the actuary does, he says that $15 million is set aside for that requirement. Just because we have a fund now, the actuary says 0, it doesn't count. But if you have an actuarial irrevocable trust, the $15 million counts towards the liability, and it reduces your ARC, your annual required contribution. So that's something that that can definitely save the district significant funding in the neighborhood of at least $1 million per year.
Wasn't
And
that idea floated before and it was turned down, I think? for some reason?
many colleges do it, large and small. All the surrounding colleges use it, from LA to Cerritos. Merced uses it.
I know,
Yeah.
I know,
Yeah.
I know
We did have
someone
this
brought
one.
it up before, and it,
And then that $15 million would still fulfill the accreditation requirement of what we have to have.
It's
as
an
well.
accreditation issue also, so
It
right,
is, yeah.
right, we need to have that
Yeah,
irrevocable trust
Right.
to meet
Right.
the standard.
Yeah.
Because that was
Mm,
something
right.
that we had some difficulty
Right.
in
Right.
addressing.
Because the concern that
Spent my
sometimes unions have is that, well, we will not have access to that money. In case of an emergency, we want the money, we won't have access to it. But you still won't have access to it because the accreditation requires that you have that amount set aside anyway.
Sure.
Right.
So, you know, and,
Does that need a board approval? Is that what's slowing it down?
we will need a board approval, but we also have to go through the college governance to make sure
Yeah.
that the college understands what we're doing and that everybody is on board. Because I don't want my administration to do anything that later on will come back, we will say, well, you know what? He did that by himself, you know, we didn't know about it. No, I like to open the whole thing, let people get a chance to voice their opinion, and we talk about it.
So is this
Yeah.
something you would like us to put on the Senate agenda, or I guess maybe I want to defer to Mark on that, because that's also a.
Yeah, how I envision this is, we started talking about it at BRAC, at the
Mhm.
last meeting, and I asked each of the constituents to bring it back to their groups and discuss it. And we're still gonna have a couple meetings where we talk about it more, because the last BRAC meeting had a low turnout.
Okay.
But we're gonna talk about it more today, and then I'll be happy to attend any meeting and share information about the irrevocable trust, how it
Right.
works,
Okay.
and what the phases would be. But what I'm looking for is for BRAC to vote on it, make a recommendation, then it would come to this group,
Right,
and this group would vote on it, make a recommendation to the president.
and then I
whether or
take
not
it to the board for approval,
Right.
and then we'll open the trust.
yeah.
we- Right.
Right. But
And
it's not good, we'll have to choose one of the companies to do that too.
Right, and
Yeah.
then, once we decide to go in this direction,
Mhm.
so we decide to set up an irrevocable trust, then we'll put together a committee on campus to select, there's different providers.
Yeah.
Cal Piers is one of the providers, and there's other groups that do that. So we'll interview the providers, make a
Right.
selection, and then the committee will continue, because it determines how much to invest
Yes,
in this irrevocable
Right.
trust.
Yeah.
But once you transfer over the funds, you're earning a significant
Oh, yeah.
amount more.
Oh, yeah.
It almost funds the entire requirement.
right.
Okay,
Yeah.
just let us know when you're ready for us to put that on the agenda.
Oh,
Well, thank you.
anytime.
Okay, I'll
Yeah.
let Valerie know.
I see, it seems to me that there's a positive feeling about this.
More money? Yeah,
Of
absolutely.
course, yeah. But that's the thing about what he said.
It's,
3 years, $70,000 a year,
On $15 million.
on $15 million.
Yeah.
and then
Ah.
let's talk about how you want to address it with the union
Right,
before we put it on an
right.
agenda.
It's logical and it's pragmatic.
Yeah.
It's very,
It's like if you were, managing your personal finances and you had the choice between
A CD
0.7%.
giving you 0.5.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know, I have a savings account that's attached to my checking that's like
That's
0.25.
That's 0.25. Oh my God, you use about 100%. All right, well, anything else?
That concludes my
Thank you.
report.
Do we have any standing committee updates?
No.
You sure? Thank you. New items, discussion and possible action. College mission statement review. You will notice in your packet, we have our mission statement. One of the requirements of accreditation, but it should not be because of accreditation, but one of the things that institutions do on a regular basis is review their mission. Is the mission of today, is what we are doing matching what we say we will do in our mission? We may say that we are an institution that will provide a global education, will serve the what is it called, that, the global citizen? I don't think we say that here, but are we doing it, right? So we need to review our mission, and what I'm suggesting, and you correct me if I'm wrong, I would like for the whole college to be involved with that. I'm not saying we're going to bring the whole college together in a room and work on it, but I think that my suggestion is to have some forums where faculty, staff, management, anybody can get to come, and we'll have a team listen to what people have to say about our mission, what suggestions, so on, right? And then we'll put up a committee that will use all that information to recommend changes or not recommend changes, saying that this is the perfect mission, right? And then once we've done that, then we can have that out there for all the governance groups to review. Is that something that you think you would like to consider as we move forward into reviewing that mission?
That's a good idea.
Yeah, because I don't want us to just have a committee, boom, let that committee do it. And then people, yeah.
Can we create a timeline for when, because we seem to do this kind of, you know,
Yeah,
not
we create
consistently.
Create a
So,
timeline.
like, we could say every 5 years we go through the same process or
Yes.
something.
And then
If that
every
was
year,
something we were
every year
lacking
we
in
do
the last-
some, yeah, every year we do it,
Yeah.
every year we have to do something.
So maybe this body
Right.
could approve
Could
a
have- yes.
specific
A
timeline, I think
specific-
that would be helpful.
Well, I'm going to ask Crystal as the.
I'm sorry.
No, you're not doing Crystal anymore, believe me. Crystal will work with all of you too, not to set up the timeline, but to bring the people together that could be looking at what could we do in the timeline. I mean, that's not the, what kind of timeline we can, so
It was just, yeah, it was one of our gaps
Right,
in the last
so we'll-
evaluation
yeah.
cycle.
5 years may be a long period for the review of the mission, because things
Sure,
change
I-
sometimes.
I-
But we'll, whatever it is,
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. No, let the, you feel, well, let the work on it. Do you work on it, you bring back that to us and then we'll, okay? Anything else you want to add on that? Anyone has anything else that you would like to say about reviewing the mission? No, that was what I was thinking of. I mean, maybe there are other ways of looking at the mission on the basis, so every 5 years, 4 years, 3 years, and so on.
Sorry, I'm taking too much time.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right. Spring 2017 Campus Climate Survey. All right, Ms. Goldrose.
Yes, well, we're getting into that time again, and I put a copy of it into your packet for your review. We will not launch the Campus Climate Survey until, it's not going out until the end of April. So we launch in the end of April, so you have time to review and get us back with any suggestions or changes you'd like to make to it.
So this is what we used last year.
This is what we
and
used last year.
We're gonna revise it.
Sorry, it looks funny just because we just printed out, it's an online survey and that's what it looks like online. So that's the campus climate survey we used last year. Any changes or corrections or anything you'd like to do, just at the next meeting, we'll talk about it.
Were there any gaps that we noticed that we didn't get from the survey, or did we get
Well, I
all
think
the
there are
information we
always
needed?
gaps that we don't, because we try to, surveys can be 10 hours long and no one takes them, or they can be condensed and we get more responses, so we try to get a happy medium in there. We also try to cover those things that we know we had problems with before, so like, we took out some pieces, but we made sure we had the shared governance piece in there. We took out some of the accreditation questions because we didn't really need them, but we can put things back in. So next, at the next meeting, I'll be asking for your input before we put the final survey together.
We good? All right.
You
Any
wanna go?
question? All right. About the governance survey.
Right, okay, so last year, as a result of the accreditation testing on shared governance, they developed a survey that we piloted last spring to these, basically it went to the shared governance bodies, as in those are the standing committees of college council and college council members and the IEC. And we didn't do all of them. This spring, we will do all of them. A copy of the shared governance survey is in your packet also for your review, any changes that you'd like to make to that. And that one doesn't get launched until shared governance goes out the middle of May.
All right.
Which leads me to the other thing I just wanted to briefly bring up today is that for reasons unbeknownst to me, we are having a spring full of surveys. There are a lot of them this spring. We've just covered campus climate and the governance. I also have a mental health survey that's going out to students and faculty, and this is being conducted by the RAND Corporation. We participated in this 3 years ago, and we are doing it again this spring. We also have a student engagement survey that's going to be going out as part of Campus Labs. They'll be running that. We'll just be helping to facilitate it on campus.
It's not SESI or NESI or
It's not
anything.
SESI or NESI. It's really just dealing with out of the classroom
Nessie or
engagement.
Ceci?
We also go
Happy to
back
know.
this summer, or this spring, we are reinstituting the manager's holistic survey. So that's going to be getting launched in about 2 weeks, so about
Manage holistic service.
Yes.
we talked about this.
Oh, okay, right.
So it's not a surprise.
I give.
No, I thought we used a different expression last
Well, they
time.
call it the
The
360.
360, yeah, all right.
But that one's going out this spring as well, and that affects managers, classified faculty will all be being asked to review certain managers. About 38 managers that are getting reviewed in this cycle. So that's going out, that's getting launched on March 5th. So all in all, we counted, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 6 surveys that are going out this spring, which is a very heavy survey for
Hey,
us.
we live in the surveying world.
It is,
People
hopefully
survey,
we get a lot of
survey.
really fantastic data to do really amazing things with what I don't know, but we'll figure that out.
You know, I'm gonna say something about surveys, about those holistic surveys you talked about, the 360. It's always good to know how people feel about you. Because very often we have, I shouldn't say we, I have a tendency of thinking that I'm the best. And then I get
I'm
brought
sure it's
down,
always good to know.
you know, and I get brought down very quickly, you know, so, but it's always good to know what people think about you. And I mean, it's good, and you should never be afraid of being part of a 360 survey. You should never think about it, oh my God, you're going to say I'm not good, I'm bad, no, never think like that. Learn from it. You always learn from those things.
Does anybody have any questions about any of the surveys we have going out this spring?
No? Okay.
If you do, feel free to call me. I'll try to explain all.
But she will have a holistic approach, survey of herself too, a 360 on Crystal.
Not until next year.
Oh,
On the next.
okay. You have plenty of time to buy them all.
The
All
last
Okay.
name starts with a K.
right.
We're A through
Okay.
L listener.
Yep.
All right.
Okay.
I'll be retired by the time I get to W.
You're not a manager, so.
All right. BP 5220, showers for homeless students. All right.
Dr. Olivo is on her way over, but in the meantime, I'll just kind of preface, this is something that is new to Ed Code and it's required that we do. So we need to put this in place as quickly as possible. The BP, I can pull it up if you didn't read it, is pretty straightforward, it just says, we'll do it. It could get more straightforward than that.
Right.
And then the AP is a little more about how we intend to do it or what our procedure is gonna
Right.
be on this.
Now,
Oh, we did vet this through the attorneys too.
now, will this be taken to the shared governance groups and then come back for approval at the next meeting? How do you feel about it? Huh?
It's not a 10+1 issue,
Okay.
and it's been through, and it was developed through student services, it's been vetted with,
Okay.
our athletics department or people down there in kinesiology, they know that this is coming. And she's here.
Hi, everyone.
But we're talking about the shower facilities for homeless students.
Yes, so this is a law that went into place January 1st. And it requires all community colleges to make the shower facilities available to homeless students. I've worked with the leadership over in kinesiology, and we came up with this policy and procedure. Any feedback?
Yeah.
I have a question about both in the BP and the AP, it says has paid enrollment fees. So what if they have a bond fee waiver, or what if they're a promised student? Should that read differently so
Sure.
that it doesn't sound like it excludes such students?
Yeah, we can just remove that and put it as in good standing with the district.
Well, we could say, and I'm fine with that, I think that just means their enrollment and fees is paid. That's all I
Right,
think.
right.
How it
But-
gets
but-
paid,
But the
I
way,
don't think.
but the way it's worded here, it sounds like they actually had to
Well,
have paid it.
now, maybe the English instructors here will tell you, you
Yeah.
can read this two different ways. It
Right,
says
which is
has
what's
paid enrollment fees in the sense that I take my money and I pay,
Right.
or it can also mean has
Has paid
enrollment fees. Somebody else has paid the enrollment fees for me. So, but I think it's good to leave it vague,
Participle
Yes,
adjective
me too.
so that in the future, if there's anything, we'll have a court of law interpret that.
I just think in good standing is good enough, because
Yeah.
good standing means all their bills have been paid.
So you want me to just take
Just take it out?
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay,
yeah.
all right.
But I do
Watch.
appreciate it. It's fun.
Gone.
The state also provided us with the definition of a homeless student, so you can read that within the body of the policy.
All right.
Do we have any numbers?
No, actually, the state is currently revising the admission application to include that as a question.
Now, based on what you said last time, for those who apply for FAFSA,
Yeah,
or financial aid, I mean,
of 30,000 students, only 22 indicated they were homeless, but
those
don't-
are just for applications for financial aid,
yeah,
right?
I don't think that asking students in that kind of application will
Right.
prompt them to reveal their status, and they might be afraid
Right.
to share it, so we're gonna do other
Okay.
things in order for faculty to let us know when they come upon a student who's homeless.
There was a large study at the CSU and the UC on homelessness
Yes, I read
and
that
food
one, yeah,
insecurity,
yeah.
and the numbers
It
were
was pretty high,
10%.
it was pretty high.
So because this doesn't need that kind of vetting, can
Yeah, I'm asking, I mean, that will have, because I
I
don't
make a
want,
motion to approve?
you want a motion to approve, okay, second, all right? Before we vote, I want to get one thing very clear, I do understand that this is not a 10+1, but I also want the minutes to reflect that an opportunity was provided for all the reps to take this to their constituent groups, but that the group agreed that we could move forward on it because it is required by law, and there is nothing in it that would really be changed, right? Is that correct?
Well, and also what can I just say is that it doesn't mean just because we voted in today that it can't be changed in the
Right.
future. Any procedure can be changed in the future.
I texted you.
Okay, very good, so we have a motion, we have a second, any further discussion? All right, let's take a vote on it then, for the recommendation coming from this group. All of you recommending yes? Aye. Yes, true, yeah. Nays?
It's the longest vote in history.
All right, let's move on, okay. Let's go.
Great.
Oh, use of drones, I see our very own,
I think this is funny, use of drones.
our very own Joe Simonetti is here, he's our drone king.
Oh, you're the drone expert?
He's the expert on drones.
Somebody had to tell me.
Are you gonna bring us a Pokemon Go policy next time?
Maybe. So we have a draft drone policy that has been placed before you for a variety of reasons. The district purchased through the foundation, a grant was provided to the academic side of the house to purchase 2 drones. And in about 6 months ago, the district is a part of a joint power authority organization, which is our property and liability coverage group. And they had a presentation done by attorneys who said that community colleges are receiving a large number of claims or lawsuits against them by personal entity or personal people who are saying that drones are being flown by staffing or students over their property to get somewhere as part of their academic program. So in response to that, the attorneys are telling us that we should have a risk management policy in place that addresses the proper process for having a drone on campus. So what this policy does is just spell out what the process should be if in fact we have drones that are part of our academic program. So really all we are doing is putting in writing that any academic program that has a drone component of the drone component needs to go through the risk management office so we can file with the FAA just to make sure that we are in compliance. It's really nothing out of the ordinary, it's just a level of risk reduction for the district. Any questions?
So does this really only cover people on campus, right?
It covers our
What about
students,
the
it covers
third
people.
party?
Yeah, it covers people who want to come on campus and use a drone. So we have a lot of outdoor events. I think the Pathways program that we
Yeah.
had, somebody was flying a
Right.
drone. That's not something that we should do without having a waiver on file.
Now,
What about
let me ask this question before we move on. How many of you have seen this before? Or this is the first time you're seeing it?
And it's actually the first It's one of very few. Our property and liability organization did not have any samples for us. The
Mhm.
state did not have a sample template.
Right.
There was a survey that was conducted of community colleges and other four-year universities. And we actually used the San Mateo
Okay.
Community College District's
Okay.
policy and just
As-
refined
okay,
it for
okay,
us.
all right. Now, of the group, how many of you have seen this policy? Or this is the first time you're seeing it? Huh?
They got it in their
But
packet.
that's what I'm saying, yeah, you got it in your back. So what I'm going to suggest, before we take a vote on this one, because of the nature of this, I suggest you take it to your group. Take it to your group, review it, and then we'll have another discussion and a vote, next time. Right? I would appreciate it, Joe, if you could make it the next time.
That's fine,
Huh?
yeah.
Okay, because I think this is one, this is very different from the shower facility. This one
Yeah.
requires that, because I mean, there are students involved, teachers are involved, classes are involved,
And
right?
it's very long.
It is a very long thing too, so, well, that I won't say, I mean, that's a matter of,
long.
you know, I mean, and then we'll review it.
Okay.
But thank you very much,
Sure.
Joe, for
Thank you.
providing us that update on
Okay.
drone. As a matter of fact, for those of you who want to know, I wanted to get a hobby. I went to Fry's last week, last Sunday. I looked at drones, and then somebody said to me, "You'll fly the drone once, and then you will bring it down, and you will never fly it again." And I said I wasn't going to invest $500 in that. Now, it will be different here, because here you will be doing the pathways, you will want to fly the drone on top.
Yes, we will. No, and it's actually pretty cool. I was gonna ask him, but the main thing is we can still do it. We just have to get approval before, and that's completely understandable.
Right.
And the faculty who got that grant, it's a joint photography and
Yes.
geography,
Yes.
mapping,
I saw them
yeah.
outside, I mean, they were showing me what they were doing, I was impressed.
Yeah.
But then I found out that they were sending that drone way up there to the mountains. Then I got scared. Because they were sending the drone over them, they were filming as they were going.
Wow.
So, but anyway, so that's where we are, all right. Now, the next item on the agenda, old item, the Student Success Standing Committee membership.
So as I reported in the fall, the Chancellor's Office is asking that we merge student equity, student success services and programs, support and programs, which is called Triple SP, and our basic skills initiative. And we talked about creating a committee at this group. So I've been working with Dr. Junie, the Academic Senate leadership, and the Institutional Effectiveness Office, because they also participated in a regional meeting from the Chancellor's Office that was letting them know this was coming down the pipeline. Guess what? The Chancellor's Office finally gave us some definitive guidance just last week. So I combed through the memo they sent, as well as the one that was sent in the fall, and I've been sharing the information with the various leaders so that we could create a charge and composition. So we've got a lot of work to do. I condensed all of the work that needs to be done on the second page of this document. So that way you can go back and understand how to recruit members to serve on the committee and what kind of work they will need to help us to achieve. Essentially, it's creating a plan that's going to help the college close achievement gaps, get students started right by getting an ed plan, orientation, placement in classes appropriately, and the right support to help them succeed. And then ensure that our college is pursuing every effort to make sure students make it through basic skills and get to college levels very quickly. And overall, to ensure that our students have a chance to succeed and get.
Do you know the name of the student sitting to your right?
It's okay if you don't, because he doesn't
Sam.
close. She's closer
I
than
know,
you were.
great.
There's no such thing as closer when it comes to names.
Kylie.
He called me Sam.
Because they're always together, Sam and Kyle always together.
Sam is short for Kylie,
Yeah,
yeah.
but the two of you are always together.
Yeah.
So Kylie, we just want to make sure all of our students have a great chance to succeed in a really timely manner. So the composition of the committee would be co-chaired by Dr. Junie and myself. We would have 5 faculty.
So if there is a disagreement between the two of you, who has the final vote?
You do.
I do? We can talk about that, all right.
Then we would ask for, the president of the Senate, the BSI coordinator or lead, which at this point is Linda Hinsman from Math, Cultural Diversity Initiative, someone from non-credit, because they do ask us to incorporate CDCP. Terry, what does CDCP stand for?
Career development, college preparedness.
Okay, good. And those are new certificates that we
No,
have.
those are, well, it's those, so certificates that lead to a job, career development, or lead to being college ready. So basic skills, areas of that nature, are CDCP. Those non-credit courses, so courses that are part of a CDCP program, as of this year, receive the same funding level as credit courses do. So that's,
Yes.
that, they have always had a higher rate of funding compared to non-CDCP, non-credit, but starting this year, they have the same level
What were
of
they called before?
apportionment.
When they were getting that higher and everything?
Well, they've been always
always
called
CDCP.
CDCP, but people would refer to them as enhanced.
Enhanced, that was
Enhanced,
enhanced, yeah.
that's
enhanced.
it, yeah.
Right, but that was just because people didn't know what CDCP stood
Then we
for,
got
so.
more forms.
Yeah.
So then another faculty appointed by the Senate, then classified, we would need the researcher, somebody from institutional effectiveness, a classified member from student services, someone from instruction, business and admin, non-credit and off-site. And then for administrators, Dean of English and Math, to address the basic skills issue, Dean of Counseling for support.
Let me ask you a question on that. Dean of Counseling, and then in parentheses, you have triple SP lead.
He's been leading the triple SP
Ah,
plan.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
but what if, for example, you have somebody else leading the triple SP?
then it would be that
Okay,
person,
all
yeah.
right.
Equity director and PD director, they're not yet hired, but they should have a role to play, 'cause they can do a
Let's
lot of the
assume that they
work.
are not here in the fall. Who will fill in for them?
We would need to find people, because
Okay.
they were gonna do a lot of the work.
I hope you had that in the job description. All
And
right,
from
and then the students you have,
students, yeah. Student body president, ASPCC exec board, and then 2 general students, and then resource experts.
do we need an approval on that today?
Well, yeah, the sooner we
just
can
asking.
get started, the better, because we do have a report due in December.
Oh, there's no approval
It's
for
all
that?
business.
Huh? This is all business, right? Yeah.
We've discussed it before.
We've discussed before. You have a
Okay,
motion to
well,
approve?
I actually sent Cynthia quite a few suggested changes that, none of which are incorporated, so.
Which are or which are not?
You are more than welcome to bring them
Wanna
up.
talk
Actually, I
about it?
have your suggested changes.
Yeah, I do too.
What are the changes?
I can't tell you because I didn't bring a copy.
Okay.
Oh, very good, good job, Dr. Judy,
And he
yeah, oh,
sent it
yeah.
last night, I was trying to get over my cold thing.
So I
We
can
read it.
I can, do you, you want me to do it?
Yes,
Sure.
please.
So, Dr. Judy's first suggestion is he asked for the co-chairs possibly having one be a faculty and an administrative co-chair team, or tri-chairs that would include
Oh,
a
sure.
classified member too.
So you are, what you're saying then, you are asking me to pick between the VP and the VPSS?
No, I'm
I'm not
actually
asking
suggesting that the administrative co-chair not be a vice president, that it not. So I was suggesting that it not be led by the 2 VPs, that it be an administrative and faculty co-chair. And then I also was throwing out the idea of a tri-chair to have it classified as well. So.
Okay, why don't you, okay, before we discuss that here, I suggest that the 2 VPs
Yeah,
sit down together and come back next time with something that we
Sure.
can, this is not something we should be discussing here.
yeah.
That's
All
fine.
right, the 2 of you can work on it
Mhm.
and agree on, bring something for us, and we'll
Sure.
approve it at the next meeting.
Sure. yes.
Okay?
Uh-huh.
All right,
No
so
problem.
do I get a yeah from everybody here to let the 2 VPs hash it out and bring it back next time for approval?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, all right, any opposed to that? Okay, very good, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, announcements. No? You kidding? All right, so, do I hear a motion to adjourn the meeting then?
Motion to adjourn.
It wasn't bad, we have 1 hour and 37 minutes.